Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Hi, this is Glenn Lundgren of JLT Mobile Computers, and you are listening to the New Warehouse Podcast. Today's safety tip is avoiding common pitfalls when procuring rugged warehouse devices and why try before you buy is so important.
Starting March 28th, Modex 2022 lets you see what's coming and take advantage of it to power your supply chain with more possibilities for years to come. With 850 exhibitors and education sessions, Modex 2022 is where you'll find the more of everything. From illuminating education to next-generation technology and equipment in action to the latest equipment and system solutions for your supply chain needs. Visit modexshow.com and join us March 28th to 31st, 2022.
With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer. How do you create warehouse superheroes? The answer is simple. With visual voice scan solutions from ProCensus. With record demand and labor shortages, warehouses need more effective workers and lightning-fast onboarding. Visual voice scan solutions from ProCensus enable warehouse workers to achieve superhero performance with up to 20% improved productivity and up to 99% accuracy. Hands-free barcode scanners from ProGlove paired with wearable mobile computers is just the beginning. Improved mobile interfaces with reduced keystrokes, easy-to-read screens, custom keyboards, voice-enabled interface, and more can be realized with ease on the leading WMS platforms. Sound too good to be true? Let us show you with our one-of-a-kind virtual demo. Visit procensus.com to get started today. Again, that's procensus.com to get started.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. On today's episode, I am going to be joined by Glenn Lundgren. He is the U.S. Regional Sales Director for JLT Mobile Computers. And JLT Mobile Computers is providing rugged devices for our arena, which is the warehouse logistics space. And Glenn is going to tell us a little bit more about JLT, and we're also going to get into rugged devices and talking about why it's so important to try out devices before you buy them and kind of what a successful demo of new devices really looks like and how you can go about implementing that yourself and making sure that whoever you're working with, whether it's JLT or somebody else, you can really make sure that, you know, you're doing things the right way so you get the best results. So, Glenn, welcome to the show. How are you?
Kevin, I appreciate the opportunity to be on, and I'm doing quite well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. A little jealous of you. You just told me you're in Florida. I'm up here in New Jersey. Even though it's 60 degrees today, it's still not as nice as Florida, I'm sure. But welcome to the show. Happy to be talking to you. Why don't you give us just, I gave my little brief overview of JLT, but why don't you give kind of a brief overview of JLT Mobile Computers and what it is you guys really do?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Founded in 1994, JLT Mobile Computers is a leading provider of ultra-reliable, high-performing, rugged wireless fixed-mount and mobile computers, software, and world-class professional services. JLT complements its corporate offices located in Sweden, France, and the U.S. with a worldwide network of impressive value-added and strategic partners. Many of them are also leading providers of software, asset management solutions, or unique hardware solutions. You will literally find our products being used in all corners of the world, providing computing solutions to leading companies in warehousing, logistics, manufacturing, transportation, ports, agriculture, and mining. Our customer base consists of many household names, including the top companies in automotive, retail, distribution, trucking, 3PL, food, and beverage markets. We are best known in the industry for our exceptional rugged reliability, our performance, and our high-touch, customer-centric business model.
Okay, good. So you guys definitely cover a wide range of things, and obviously, providing the best mobile computer solutions possible, and certainly focused on rugged devices. Obviously, in our environment, in the logistics world, things can get beat up a little bit, to say maybe it might be a little understatement in some of the things that I've seen in my experience. But why don't you tell us, I guess key us in, because obviously there's mobile computers. We think about, there's laptops, phones, is in our everyday life, all different types of devices. But when it comes to, these rugged devices, what really qualifies a device as a rugged device? What is that, and what's the real benefit for them?
That is an excellent question and a great segue, because there is a lot of choices available out there.
Right.
A lot of different devices being touted as being rugged. And, some of them to a certain degree they are. But we define rugged as computers that are specifically designed and manufactured to operate reliably in harsh environments.
Okay.
We devise these devices in accordance with the MIL standard 810G, or sometimes MIL spec as it's commonly referred to. Mm-hmm. And what that is it is compliance of a collection of performance and development guidelines and specifications created by the U.S. Department of Defense to define the required durability, keyword durability,
right,
for military devices and applications. Now, this MIL spec has been adopted globally by manufacturers of rugged devices as the accepted guideline for defining rugged computers and other devices, because they also need to function in the harshest of work environments, much like they are being used in the military.
Yeah.
These guidelines are put in place as a way to measure and guarantee a certain level of durability for a piece of technology. Specifically, it means that equipment has gone through a series of 29 tests for shock, vibration, heat, cold, humidity, dust, and a number of other metrics. This testing includes multiple drops from established heights to all corners, edges, and the face of a device. Ingress protection, what they call IP ratings. You've probably heard that before.
Yeah, definitely.
To ensure that certain sealing standards are met for dust, humidity, water intrusion, shock, and vibration.
Very interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to learn about kind of the details there on the standards and how they're developed. And I think it's interesting too that you pointed out it's kind of these military required standards, right, to make these devices durable for their needs, which I think is interesting because we see so many technologies and concepts as well. I mean, the whole concept of logistics, in a sense, was born of the military, right? Anyway, so
right.
As the technology develops, and I've certainly talked to a lot of people on the podcast too, where the technologies are developed for the military world, but somehow they find their way translating over to the logistics world as well, which I think is very interesting. So I never heard that level of detail before on kind of the standard of what a rugged device is. So very interesting that you shared that. So obviously, they're rated for the military, so obviously they can handle a lot going on. So talk to us about a little bit from the logistics standpoint, what are some of the harsh environments that these rugged devices can really withstand in the warehousing space?
Well, certainly anybody that's been in a warehouse, a lot of us have, they know how dusty and humid they are. They're built on concrete slabs. Some of them are level, some of them are not. Yeah. There's a lot of steel racks around which compromise wireless communications. There's material that is being stored on those racks that also can attenuate a wireless signal. They're typically cover hundreds of thousands of square feet nowadays, and there are some warehouses that are in the millions of square feet. So in addition to the harsh environments, you're also going to need and require wireless performance that will carry you through the roaming and the distance that's involved in covering these warehouses. And we know that they're accident prone. And so you don't want a device where your operator has to fiddle with it, losing sight of where he's or she is going with the forklift. That can be problematic. So there's a lot of things that are going on. And today they are busier than ever because warehouses now are more than a storage locker.
Oh, yeah.
They have become order fulfillment centers. And this is brought about by large retail companies in particular, and many of them you are aware of, where they are using these warehouses as fulfillment centers and in some cases using semi-trucks and trailers as mobile warehouses. And so, the goal is quick inventory turns. No inventory would be preferred. And there's some companies that actually have to sell products before they have to pay for them. Yeah. And so that's kind of set as a metric, the expectation now. And with the pandemic, it has just put a tremendous amount of pressure on the speed for fulfillment, the accuracy, and things of that sort. And these warehouses are under considerable pressure to make sure that they get orders fulfilled, get them out on time, get them accurate, get them shipped.
Right. Yeah. And I think, a lot of great points there. I mean, the growth of the industry has just been pretty remarkable over the past couple of years. And you mentioned the pandemic in there, obviously accelerating e-commerce a huge amount. So as, these companies are growing in this space in the logistics world and, looking for ways to have better productivity, be more efficient, deliver better service to their customers and get things out the door faster. Obviously, they're looking at technology to help them do that. And one of the things, not only from upgrading technology, but even to the expansion of companies as well, as you start to add more headcount to support and provide more capacity for increase of orders, especially in e-commerce space. Obviously you need to add more devices, or you need to upgrade your devices to be able to compete in the marketplace. So when companies start to search for new devices, rugged devices, or they're looking to upgrade maybe their existing hardware, what is the right approach really to, I guess, initiate that search in the first place? What, if I have a warehouse and, I'm utilizing certain type of device, whether it's a handheld, wearable, whatever the case may be, how do I now decide that, okay, I want to start my search here? What's the right first step, would you say?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because it all really starts with the importance of selecting the right device. When you do that and you put it in the right hands, technology takes a back seat and workflow takes a front seat. And that's really what you want. You want to drive productivity. You want to drive efficiencies in your warehouse. And you don't want people thinking about repairing or resolving issues with the technology. You want them focused on the job at hand. And that's why I said earlier, what we do is we develop application-specific devices that are geared to be mounted on a forklift, that are geared to be mounted in truck cabs, are geared to be a situation appropriate
Right.
for the use case. So to me, the most critical factor is deciding on the right platform to use. Now, one could develop a checklist. I'm sure it would vary from user to user. But the first task at hand, I think, would be to define your use case. By that, I mean completely understand the operating environment, not just the harshness of it, but the total operating environment, the skills, labor skill set. You touched on labor before. If you can get these people nowadays, you're ahead of the game.
Right.
But the labor workforce in these areas is completely strained at this point. So picking the right device and making these individuals productive is the first task at hand. So take some time to define, to know for sure how these devices are intended to be used in the environment you're going to use them in. The second, to me, would be the budget. A lot of times it becomes first. And I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there is a tendency to look only at the cost of acquisition, which is enticing when you look at particularly the consumer grade and non-rugged device. The price tag is attractive because you can manufacture them for less, and therefore you can sell them for less. It costs more to produce, to design, produce, and deliver and support a rugged device. But when you take a look at, once again, if you go back to define your use case, maybe you don't need rugged. I think you do, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Right. But your evaluation on your budget should include something that the industry calls a total cost of ownership. And really what that is taking into consideration things like desired service life. How long do you want this device to perform for you out there? Maintenance costs. If you have devices that are prone to break early, then you're going to have to increase your spare pool to be able to write. And so these are costs that you should be taking a look at. Also look at the manufacturer's stated failure rates. How long are these devices going to remain in production before something breaks and they got to send them in for service? And how long does it take you to get them back? All things you should take into consideration. Refresh timetable kind of goes hand in hand with the desired service lives. When do you intend to refresh your technology and, of course, the support capabilities of your staff and your partner staff to maintain these devices? So that should all factor into your budget and should roll into your total cost of ownership model.
Interesting points. I wanted to ask you there about, you talked about the level of, or the service life you mentioned. So, with the service life, and obviously we were talking about, potentially bringing in, brand new equipment, obviously, for maybe a brand new warehouse that the company's, maybe it's a brand new company, or maybe it's an existing company, they're opening a new facility or upgrading, right? So when you're looking at this, and, I think it's interesting because technology in just the past couple of years, I think in the logistics space has kind of accelerated so much and kind of taken a lot of leaps from what I've seen. So, when we talk about the service life, what is, for someone out there that's thinking about this, what is like the average service life that you're seeing now on these types of devices?
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, another good question, Kevin, and it's really all over the place. It really depends upon what the company's policies are in that area. I will tell you, we have one customer in particular, a very large household name customer. They are approaching their 11th year. That's 11 years on the same technology. Now, why is that? Because it kind of gets back to what I was saying before. When you design and implement a user-specific device, the goal is to put it out there and have it work. And work and work.
Right.
You don't want things out there where you have to continuously change.
Yeah.
You want a stable environment for as long as you practically can. This company's figured out a way through some of the features that we provide. They found out a way to secure their images and make them productive and easily changed on technology that'll last them that long. There's some companies that won't. They want to refresh for the sake of refreshing newer technology.
Yeah.
And it's reliable and it's stable. That's really what the operating management team really wants.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think it's a really good point because, I mean, the stability obviously in our world is something that's very valuable, I think, because any disruption, even the slightest disruption can, throw off deliveries and all those different types of things and getting product to the customers at the right time and in the agreed service level. So a very interesting point there. And I like you said the company has for 11 years now and they're able to figure out a way to work with that technology and still make it work for them and be able to still be as efficient as possible. So very interesting point there. Now, you mentioned some of the things to talk about for total cost of ownership, but you also mentioned in there too, as well, you said about deciding whether or not you need rugged versus not rugged. And it sounds like you're pro 100% rugged all the time. Is that what I'm picking up on?
Well, that's what our company does. We are focused on building the best rugged device out there. And so, yes, our orientation is towards rugged devices. But, there are companies out there that, quite frankly, don't need a rugged device and probably can get by with it. So it's real important to understand the environment. And we take a lot of time in our sales activities, we take a lot of time to make sure that we understand and the customer understands what it is they need to have as a successful platform in place. And if the environment is not harsh, then, maybe they don't need a device that's rugged. In a warehouse, I've got a lot of gray hair on my head, and in a warehouse, I've not seen one yet that doesn't need a conditioned device to protect against dust, humidity, shock, vibes, some of those things.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. That environment, I think you should be prepared to seriously consider the rugged device.
Yeah, I definitely agree too. I mean, I've worked in warehouses for going on 11 years now, I think. And, I've certainly seen some devices destroyed too, as well, in interesting ways. So, those things, I mean, they take a beating and, they get around. So, and obviously, different environmental factors as well. Like you mentioned, the dust, and, it's a big one that, is everywhere, is prevalent in all warehouses, and you try to avoid it, but it's hard to take all the dust out of, several 100,000 square feet, if not 1 million plus. So a very interesting point there. And, I think the one thing that's very important too is, you mentioned the company, right, that's only had this same devices for 11 years. So it's not like you're staying in a company and you're constantly getting to try different technologies and different devices. And if you're staying in the same place for a while, unless you're, going out and maybe know people at other places where you can try a different device or something like that, when you're looking to actually upgrade and move to something different, or just maybe upgrade to the new model, or whatever the case may be, And it's very important that you're able to try it. So talk to us a little bit about the kind of try before you buy philosophy and why a demo period is so important for a company to do.
So if you roll back and just for a second say, okay, the platform that your business is going to run on will depend upon how successful you are in implementing that platform.
Right.
So it's pretty serious, right? You want to take the guesstimate out of it. You want to be pretty sure of the path that you're heading down, because as I say, your business is going to be running on this platform, and you need to make sure it is the correct one. It also gives the company a chance to learn about the weak spots that they might have and or the strength of their intended solutions. Either one can assist you in further justification. This is why you need a rugged device, Mr. Vice President, or it will strengthen your argument for your intended solution, so you know that you're going down the right path, or if you need to make certain adjustments to your project. It will prove how well the equipment's going to perform in your specific situation.
Right.
So you'll be able to monitor wireless coverage, processing power, things that can inhibit performance and productivity, and things that will allow you to gain productivity in your environment. So it'll give you a chance to test that out. I think one thing that I can add to this is that the importance of selecting a broad group of people, not just testing it in a lab, getting it out on the floor, having a number of people look at it and try it out, because individuals' perspectives are different. And so it will allow you to select a lot of inputs when you do that from people that are close to the front line and closer to the task at hand. And I think when you do that, you also can get their buy-in, which is going to be important. I'll discuss that a little bit later on, right? I think it also helps to remove brand bias and to drive collaboration, which is important. There are people that probably know a particular brand or something that they might favor, and they may be reluctant to look at other options that are available to them. This opens that up, and it levels the playing field and allows you to make a very objective choice and a very objective decision on who you're going to go with. I think it also demonstrates this try before you buy. It really shows the capability of the partnership of your supplier, the commitment that they have for your success. It demonstrates if they are willing to ride shotgun with you. Things will go wrong. It's technology. Things will go wrong. It's not difficult to get good reviews when things are going well. The true test is when things aren't going well, and how your partner supplier reacts and is committed to your success when things don't go as planned. It's very important.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point there, because even throughout the demo, I mean, when you're doing a demo, I would imagine, you have tons of questions. Obviously, why is this like this? Or we need to change this. This isn't working this way. This is some of the feedback, as you mentioned, from the floor and the people who are doing the demo. And I think that's like you mentioned, it's a great test to figure out, is the supplier going to be supportive, and are they going to be responsive, and how do they react during that demo time when you're asking those things. So that's a really great point there.
It is. I can't tell you the number of times that a customer user said, "Oh, I forgot this. I forgot to tell you that." And sometimes it can make a huge difference, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you'd like to say, "Well, why didn't you?" But that's human nature.
Yeah.
You can't think of all things all the time. And so that gives you a good chance to say, okay, this is a platform that potentially I'm going to be using for a long time. How are these people willing to step up? How do they react? How quick what's the response time? Getting things done? What's their capability to resolve the problems, the issues? Does it take them a long time to get back to me? It's just a good way to demonstrate and to show capabilities and strength of the partnership.
Definitely.
And we talked a little bit about buyer acceptance or end user acceptance and why that's so important. And I mentioned earlier, when you get the correct device in the right hands, you get the right focus on workflow efficiency instead of on the technology. It's just really key. And it becomes their solution instead of your solution. And so many times, the poor IT group gets handed the challenge of doing this. And while they know technology quite well, they may not know the operations as well. And it's sometimes unfair to put them in that kind of a position. And so when you get user acceptance, they can help guide the correct path. When they select the path and they have buy-in, they tend to use the devices the way that they should be used because they prefer to use that device. And so the rejection rate goes way down and the implementation success goes way up, which is really what you want. You're almost guaranteed a successful installation when you involve your user base and a number of people within that user base.
Absolutely. And I've certainly experienced that firsthand. The moment an employee gets frustrated with technology, they pretty much have written it off. So you definitely want to make sure that you have their buy-in because, if you bring in something and you don't run it by them first, he may be looking at a revolt in the warehouse or something of that nature. And because, they get so frustrated because you're messing with their daily production and, what they're expecting. And when the flow of their work is disrupted and they're not really able to, continue doing things as they were doing, or do them better, and it feels like they're slowing down and it feels like they're not doing as good of a job anymore, then you're really going to have a difficult time, and you're going to be looking at some devices that you just spent a lot of money on, and they might just be sitting getting dust because they want to go for the old devices that they like better and are more familiar. So I think it's like a huge
that happens.
Point, yeah.
That happens.
Oh, yeah.
We see it all the time. We get called back in many situations because they've had a chance to test some of this non-rugged or consumer-grade devices, and they just find out the headaches that are involved with that. Yeah. When we get called back in, we always insist on doing a try before you buy. Make sure we've got all of those details handled. Yeah. People sometimes forget that in the warehouse, those folks get paid on production. Yeah. They don't get paid on resolving issues. And when they have to resolve issues because of unreliable equipment or equipment that's inappropriate for warehouse use, that affects their productivity, that affects their income. And so it's understandable why they get frustrated. It's personal at that point. Yeah. So it's real critical to get the right device in the right hands, the right people to focus on the right thing.
Absolutely. And very, very great way to end it there, Glenn. I think that's a good thing to say. And, very interesting points here and a lot of great perspective, not only on the rugged devices themselves and what actually makes them rugged device. I thought that was very interesting, but also, why it's so important to, as you guys say, try before you buy and get that demo in place and really make sure that you're looking at all aspects of it and getting a chance to really understand what you're about to invest in. So Glenn, I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing these insights with everybody. So if people want to find out more information about JLT Mobile Computers, how can they do that?
The easiest way is to go on www.jltmobile.com, and you can find very informative use cases and other tips that you can use in this journey. Whether it is selecting brand new devices or going to refresh older legacy equipment, We've got a lot of tips there from people that have gone through a few bruises and scabs, and so take advantage of their advice and their experience.
And thank you for the information today, and we'll put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well so people can easily find it. So once again, thank you for your time today, Glenn.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.